Hello, hi, and welcome to this episode of the Mandy Mayer podcast. As per usual, this is the podcast where I chat everything health and fitness and fat loss. I chat everything health, fitness, fat loss goals and how you can actually work on setting those goals and achieving those goals when it comes to your health and fat loss expedition. You know, I've had such a crazy week, such a hectic week, such a emotional week that I don't actually have any topic of conversation planned. And I was humming and hawing as to whether I'm actually really going to record this episode of the podcast. And I sat thinking about it and I'm like, you know what did I learn this week, right? Like I said, it's been quite a crazy week. It's been a crazy several weeks. And I just sat there and I'm like, what did I actually learn this week? And would it be something that I would be able to share with you guys, the listeners, and would it be able to help you? And is it something that I am willing to share, especially because this week has been quite emotional. I haven't actually spoken openly about any of this at all, except for the one episode where I did mention that my dad was sick. My dad's been in hospital for the last several weeks and he's just not getting better. The medicine that he's on is just not working. They've done multiple, just everything, without going into too much detail. My dad's just not getting better. And he's been moved from hospital to another hospital. They've done a very risky surgery on him on Friday last week. He managed to pull through that surgery in his weak and fragile and frail state. And we thought it looked good until a couple of days later. The surgery that they did, there was an abscess that refilled. And then during the week, we were told that they might need to do that operation again. Now, the point that I'm getting to, there is a point to this. For me, I personally don't like sharing a lot of my personal life. I like going through it with my family, those close to me, and just working through all of it with everyone that's close to me. I'm not like everyone else out there online that shares everything, and I know that you guys will be able to respect that as well. But two things that I learned this week is I remember going into the hospital where he currently is. I think it was on Tuesday or Monday, Tuesday I think it was, and this is when we found out that he might need the second operation. And I just sat there in the passage. I wasn't even in his room. I had been in his room, but then I left because my mom and my brother were with him and they're very strict with their visiting, only 2 people per room. And I was sitting outside waiting and my dad's physio came up to me and I'd met her once before. I'd met her the Saturday after his operation and she came up to me and she just asked me how I'm doing and she said to me, you don't always have to be the strong one. You don't always have to be strong for everyone. And in that moment, I just started crying. Like I literally just started crying in front of everyone and I had no issue with it. And I think that was the moment. It was so crazy how a random person just coming up to me in that moment saying to me that you don't need to be strong every single day of your life. You don't need to be the strongest person in the room every single day. And even though I've always known that, it's not something that I've, acknowledged, or I always want to be the strong one. I want to be there. I want to help people. I want to help people through difficult moments. And for me, it was such a big realization knowing that us as humans, right, we're allowed to be weak. We're allowed to have weaknesses. We're allowed to have moments where we're not feeling strong. You are allowed to have moments where you are struggling on your health and fat loss expedition. You are allowed to have moments where you are doubting yourself, where you are doubting as to whether there's progress. You are allowed to have moments where if you don't see progress, you get angry, you get mad, you get upset. We're allowed to have that. We are humans. We have emotions. We are allowed to feel those emotions. And oftentimes feeling those emotions helps us work through those emotions. Now, I know you're probably like, but Mandy, this has got nothing to do with fat loss. Well, no, it doesn't, right? But it's got everything to do with life. And oftentimes we tackle these difficult situations in life and it just feels like there's no way through these situations. And oftentimes that's the same as a health and fat loss expedition. There will be moments where it's going to be hard, where it's going to be tough, and it feels like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. In that moment where you feel like you just need to take a break and not be overly strong or pushing the entire time, that's 100% fine. You're allowed to take that break. If you're not seeing any progress and you are putting in all the bloody hard work, you're allowed to feel the emotions, you're allowed to feel upset, right? But just knowing that we need to continue moving forward with what we are working on or with what we are currently dealing with. And it's crazy. I always had this very sarcastic saying, and it goes as follows: tigers don't cry. And I'd always refer to myself as, when I would just say random things like that. It's very rare that I do, have a moment where I cry and I just break down. Usually I am very strong, but this is the one time where it's taught me that I can. We're all human. We don't have to be strong every single second of the day. And, that for me was fundamental. That it's just so weird how just such a random person came up to me, random, my dad's physio. I mean, not totally random, and it was just in that moment where I was like, you know what, I can let go. I can cry. I can just not be worried about what people think about me. I don't need to be embarrassed if I do cry. And I know that many people might be sitting there saying, but this isn't new to us, Mandy. Like we know we can cry. But to a lot of people out there, it is something new, right? Then the second thing that I learned is I went to go visit my dad again during the week. I think it was on Thursday, and we were sitting there having a conversation in the evening, and we were chatting about little things, and he said to me that his biggest fear right now is that he'll never be able to walk again because he's paralyzed from his chest or his chest downwards, because he has spinal TB and that's affected everything. And he said to me his biggest fear is he'll never be able to work again because he won't be able to walk again. And I said to him, but why is that a fear? And he said, well, he won't be able to earn income for the family. And and I just said to him in that moment, I said to him, but you've raised 3 kids and we've looked at you and we've learned a strong work ethic. We've learned to work hard and not complain about having to work. We've learned to, just like I said, have that strong work ethic. And that's been instilled to us from you. And that's what I said to him. And I said, you don't have to work anymore because you have set an amazing example. You and Mom have set an amazing example to your 3 kids, that your 3 kids are now in the position to be able to help you. Right? You're in the position to say, okay, I've got these 3 kids and I've never expected anything from them, but he did raise us with that strong bloody work ethic. And again, I said to him, even without you knowing it, Dad, you've set a phenomenal example to the 3 of us when it comes to working and working hard and not ripping people off and not doing some scammy, dodgy deals. Because he still said to me, he's like, I hope you only work hard for your money and you don't lie to people and sell them shit. And I said to him, no, that's not his voice, right? I don't know who that's possibly my mom's voice. But that is another thing that, not so much that I learned this week, but a message that I wanted to get over to you guys. I said to my dad, without him even knowing, he set an example for us 3 kids. And whatever you are doing within your, I want to say life, but let's narrow it down and go with your health and fat loss expedition, right? Or creating a healthier lifestyle, or the lifestyle that you are living. Please always remember that you, without even knowing it, are setting examples for your kids, right? So if you're going to go to that scale every morning and you're going to get upset about that number on the scale, sometimes, more often than not, your kids are watching you. Without you even knowing, they might be picking up on that. Or if you're going to stand in front of the mirror and you're going to call yourself fat and you're going to call yourself hurtful names, you might think that it's only you that's calling yourself that, but there might be little ears in the background who are actually witnessing that. And that's something that you don't want to pass over to your kids. And like I said, I don't have kids, but as a kid, I know that my mom and dad set massive examples for us, whether they knew it or whether they didn't know it. And like I said to my dad, without him even knowing it, him and my mom really set an example to us when it comes to working hard, right? And again, like I said, be the example for your kids when it comes to the food choices that you make, when it comes to the way you speak about food, when it comes to the way you speak about that number on the scale, when it comes to the way that you speak about your body. Very, very important, because like I said, you don't know where those little ears are listening at the end of the day. And we really do want to break this sort of negative mindset around that number on the scale, or looking a certain way, or whatever it is. So always remember, little ears in the background. That's the message that I wanted to share with you guys. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you guys like I usually do. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and keep being kind to one another. Much love, your friend who just shared 2 random messages with you, Mandy.